Welcome back to OTR, and it's time for the Sunday Roundtable. And joining us this morning, Democratic political analyst Marianne Marsh and Republican political analyst Ginny Buckingham. Guys, right at the top, you just heard Congressman Auchincloss on a number of things this morning, the briefest of which was the campaign funds and his position in the 4th District. So, Marianne, let me start with you. How secure is his standing in the 4th District? And I know we're just months into his first term.
If Jake Auchincloss gets one progressive opponent versus 8, 9, or 10, it's a race, and he knows it. So on the one hand, he's doing all the things any first-term member of Congress should do, trying to secure a re-election. He is raising money. He kept his head down. He only just gave his maiden speech a few weeks ago and introduced his first bill. On the other hand, he's not looking really to make inroads with progressives, it seems. You look at some of his media interviews of late with more conservative outlets. There's a social media posting with a local Republican state representative who voted against the ban on conversion therapy. That's hardly something that's going to really warm the hearts and voters in Brookline, Newton, and other parts of that district. So if it's a one-on-one race, Jake's got a race. You know,
Ginny, it is the reality of his life. Not only he has to do his job now, but he's got to look at whatever, a primary in 2022 or the general in 2022 as well.
Look, moderate Democrats in New England are as much as an endangered species as some would say moderate Republicans are in New England. So sure, he's got to walk a tightrope, but I don't see why Democrats would want to eat their own in the midterms. They're going to have enough problems across the country.
And the scandal involving Boston police officer Patrick Rose and the allegations of a cover-up involving child sex abuse charges, that remains a tough subject for City Hall and the Boston Police Department. It also puts the issue of police reform near the top of the campaign issues in the upcoming Boston mayoral race. Marianne, does this issue work better for some candidates versus others?
It works for everybody except Kim Janey, and we saw it this past week. I mean, the fact is Kim Janey failed her first test in dealing with the police, only releasing 13 pages of a 105-page report that had covered up this crime for over 30 years, and then did it at the exact same time the Derek Chauvin verdict was being announced in Minneapolis, which looked too cute by half, trying to hide the ball, trying to have it both ways, and frankly disrespectful of that verdict in Minneapolis. So now this issue has galvanized every opponent running against Kim Janey. They're all on her about it, and rightfully so. Kim Janey needs to release the entire report, protect all the victims' names. Ask either the U.S. Attorney General, Department of Justice, and/or Maura Healey to conduct a full investigation. That's the only way she can get back on her feet on this one.
And Ginny, City Hall is saying, well, to release any more documents would simply compromise the victim's identity. What's your take on this?
So I think Marianne actually is spot on in her take on this. You don't want to be on the side of defending the status quo, of opposing bringing in external folks to look at what is going on, like Andrea Campbell called on the U.S. Attorney to come in. She's on the defensive, and that's not where you want to be in this situation.
The next thing I'd like to talk about is the governor's race, and again, we will acknowledge the governor's not up for election this year, it's next year. But Emily's List, the powerful fundraising group that supports Democrats backing abortion rights, has put Charlie Baker on its target list. Marianne, let me start with you. How damaging is this if he decides to run for a third term? And is this a signal to Maura Healey that she should run?
Well, let's see if Emily's List actually puts on its big girl pants and decides to endorse in this race, because historically, when there's more than one woman, Emily's List sits it out. And a lot of women have lost because of that. But if they got into this race and endorse, and Maura gets into this race, and that means there will be two women in it, at least, then it is, yes, it's good for Maura Healey. Tough for Charlie Baker. It helps Maura Healey raise money nationally. Charlie Baker has no trouble raising money. And then it starts to talk about his record on choice and women and other issues. And I think that's a race Maura Healey would love.
Ginny, what's your read?
I'm shocked there's gambling in the casino. Emily's List, the most proactive anti-Republican lobby, is supporting the Democrats. Shocking.
I know this may not be a fair question to both of you or either of you, but is Maura Healey already running for governor, whether she said she is or isn't?
I feel like she's got a big toe in the water, maybe two at this point. I mean, she's doing events around the state on different topics, and it feels like a warming up tour. I think not only with voters, but for her, frankly. I think she's trying to get a sense of whether she really wants to take this race on, and does she want to take on Charlie Baker. We don't know if Charlie Baker is going to run for re-election, but as we've said here for weeks, it's certainly starting to look like that.
And does she want history to repeat itself?
Yeah.
I mean, look at the chain of Democratic AGs before her that tried this and lost, and then lost their seat where they could do a lot of good.
Right.
Senator Ed Markey together again with AOC last week to reintroduce the Green New Deal. Senator Markey clearly interested in keeping his bona fides with progressives in good order. But is this as much about playing his hand with the Democratic left as it is about getting policy through Congress? Ginny?
You know, it wasn't just those Nike sneakers that won him cred with progressives and younger voters. It was his early leadership on this, whatever you feel about the Green New Deal. So this was very smart politics on his part to keep people reminded that that's where he comes
Continue
from.
to remind them. Marianne?
I think this has as much to do with timing than anything else. I mean, the American Recovery Plan by Biden, wildly popular. Infrastructure bill coming up, wildly popular. And Earth Day. So I think it was a good time to do it and bring back all those fond memories.
Including the sneakers, including the Nikes,
I
Marianne?
could do without those.
You could okay.
He's going to be wearing those for a while.
You know what?
We'll see.
They worked.